Okay, marhaba, salam. This is term 2, week 5, Physics CA. We have 13 questions. It's everything is new. Oh no, actually not everything. We actually have 4 questions from optics from term 1. Uh, Yalla, let's start. We have the new concept of momentum and impulse. It's very easy. You just have few formulas you have to memorize. Our formula for momentum is P. The first one is P equals mv. P is the momentum. M is obviously the mass, which must be in kilograms. And V is the velocity. That's in meters per second. That's the first formula. Okay. في كمان delta P equals F times T. This is important. Okay. This formula delta P equals F times T is also expressed as the impulse equals F times T. But I don't think they call the impulse I. They call the impulse delta P. So whenever they ask for impulse, you use the formula delta P equals Ft, or if you want, you can write it as the impulse is Ft, where F is the force in newtons and T is the time in seconds. Okay, time seconds. Okay, one last formula for momentum is that momentum equals not momentum, sorry. It's it's delta P change in momentum equals m delta v. Okay, this is the last formula for momentum. Okay, m delta v. This is also expressed as, when I say delta p, that means I'm talking about impulse, which is m delta v. Okay, this is important. It's in the book, but our teacher didn't really explain it to us. That's why I was a bit confused when I saw it. فهول هن three formulas. Uh, no, MV واضحة, that's the main one you have to know. Momentum equals mass times velocity, and no, that equals force times time. Okay, but whenever you say delta P عم تحكي عن انت the impulse. When you say P, you're talking about momentum. One last formula, okay, but this is the bit tricky one. Know that the momentum P is always conserved. P is always conserved. This is Newton's third law. Okay, is always conserved. Okay, what does that mean? That means the momentum before equals the momentum after. P means momentum, B means before. So the momentum before equals the momentum after. Okay, what do I mean? The momentum here is, when I talk about the momentum here, I'm talking about the momentum of two objects. Two objects before and two objects after. We use this when we talk about two objects, okay, two objects colliding, colliding. colliding. يعني انت you have a ball here, you have a ball here, it's moving towards this ball, and then and after it collides, they start moving with the same speed together. You know, when you have two balls, they bump into each other, they start moving together. Okay? The formula for this, and I just wrote this so you understand. Momentum before equals momentum after. That means whenever you asked, how do you know you're using this? Whenever you see two objects bumping into each other or two objects colliding. What will the formula be? MAVB, MAVA plus MBVB equals MAVA prime plus MBVB prime. Instead of VB prime, some people put VB2 or VB1. I don't know. You all have different ways of writing down this formula. This is the way I personally write it. And let me explain this. When I say MAVA, that means the momentum, because you know P equals MV, right? And when I say MBVB, this is the momentum of object A, right? Why? When I say A, it means object A. So when I say mass of A times velocity of A, means I'm talking about the momentum of A. And then when I say mass of B times velocity of B, I'm talking about the momentum of B. Because the momentum of B equals the mass of B times the velocity of B. So what am I trying to say? And I said the momentum is always conserved. What does that mean? معناتها the momentum over here, the momentum of A and the momentum of B should always equal to the momentum of A and B after. What does MAVA prime mean? It means the new momentum of A. What does prime mean? Prime means new, or the changed. Why am I not putting MA prime? Because the mass of the object obviously won't change. The only thing that changes after these two objects bump into each other will be the speed of the object, right? Heidi, it bumps into this one. Okay, then the speed changes, right? But the mass is still the same. This will be 1 kilo, this will be 2 kilos, for example. Okay, so this mass will always be the same. The VA will change. That's why we say VA prime plus MB VB prime. Again, mass of B. This is the new mass. This is the new momentum of B. Okay, this is all just to explain, but what you have to memorize is this red part over here. I'll circle it. Okay, MAVA plus MBVB equals MAVA prime plus MBVB prime. Okay, so these are your formulas that you have to memorize. Okay, so you can screenshot if you want, but if you realize يعني everything is about momentum. Okay, هلا let's start solving. The questions are very straightforward صراحة. يعني question 1, they gave you the mass and they gave you the speed, يعني they gave the velocity. What is the momentum? P equals mv. Easiest one. What is the mass? 0.009 times the velocity 380. You get 3.4. Okay, question 2. You have a firework of mass 30 grams. It's initially at rest. Okay, it explodes into two pieces. As a result, its 25-gram fragment moves at 20 meters per second leftwards. The other 5 grams moves at how many meters per second in what direction? Okay, remember, Anna, I tell you, momentum is always conserved. P is always conserved. So the momentum before equals the momentum after. One thing I want to explain to you guys is the way مثلا helicopters fly, or you know the way you have boats. Okay, this is the sea, and you have a boat over here. Okay, and this is the boat, and you have a man on the boat. Okay, he wants to row the boat. You guys know how you row the boat, right? You take a pedal or the paddle or whatever, I don't know, this thing, and you start pushing it backwards, right? نحن when we push it backwards, the boat moves to the front. طب okay, if you ever think about it, why does that happen? مش انت you're putting the force backwards? How are you moving to the front if you're putting the force, backwards? That's the thing. You're putting momentum to the back, okay? And momentum is always conserved. So how do you cancel out? Let's say I have a momentum of 5 to the left. And since we say the momentum is always conserved, that means if you have 5 to the left, how do you cancel it out? There's going to be 5 to the right. So that's why also when you're swimming, you're moving your you're moving your hands, you're pushing back, right? You're pushing the water back. That causes you to move forward. Because you're pushing the water back with, let's say, a momentum of 20, that means the water will push you back with a momentum of 20, and that's how you will move forward. Similarly to this firework question. The firework of mass 30 grams initially at rest explodes into two pieces. The 25 grams fragment, so let's say this is the firework, okay, this is the 25 grams, okay, and since it's 30 grams, the other part will be 5 grams. 5 grams. Okay, the 25-gram fragment moves at 20 meters per second to the left. How much will, what will the speed be to the right? And obviously it will be to the right because we have to cancel it out, the left. It will obviously be to the right, but so how much will the speed be? Now we know it has to cancel out this momentum. How do we find out this momentum? Okay, it's P equals MV, صح? Okay, the mass is 25 grams. But نحن can we solve when it's grams? No, we have to convert to kilograms. How do you convert it to kilograms? You divide by 1000 for anybody who doesn't know. It will be 0.025 times the velocity, which is 20, and you get 0. P equals, you get 0.5. So that means if this is 0.5 momentum to the left, that means this should be 0.5 momentum to the right. But then are they asking about the momentum? They're not. Obviously, they're not. Okay, they want the velocity. Now we know P equals mv. Okay, P equals mv. The momentum we said is 0.5. The mass we have it's 5 grams of the other piece. What will the velocity be? We don't know. أول شيء before solving, always convert this into kilograms. 5 grams to kilograms will be 0.005 kilograms. So it will be 0.5 is the momentum equals the mass, which is 0.005 times V. How do you find V? You take 0.05 to the other side. You get V equals 0.5 over 0.005, which is 100 meters per second. This is how you solve using P equals mv on both sides. Another way you can use is, since these momentums will always be equal, you can just put m1v1 equals m2v2. Similarly to the equation I gave you, since it's always conserved. The mass 1 we said was 25 grams, which is 0.025, times v1, which is 20, equals m2, which was 5 grams, which is 0.005, times v2, which is, we don't know, we're trying to find it, and you can just solve like this. Okay, there's two ways you want to solve. You want to solve using finding the momentum first and then plugging into P equals mv for the other side, or you can just do m1v1 equals m2v2, whatever you want. Okay, the force of 500 newtons is exerted on a body for 0.16 seconds. What will the impulse be? Okay, نحن we have the force, we have the time. The impulse يعني delta P, or you can say I, whatever you want. But in physics, you can't really use I because I is current. So I think that's why they call it delta P. Okay, so delta P impulse is equal to Ft, delta P يعني it's going to be equal to 500 times 0.16, which is going to be 80 newtons per second. Okay. Okay, same repeat question, mass and velocity, and they're asking for the linear momentum, which is P equals mv. يعني P equals the mass, which is 0.009 times the moment as the velocity, which is 380, وبيطلع لك 3.4. Okay, question 5. Okay, question 5. A ball of mass 0.2 kilograms moving leftward. It moves leftward at 5 meters per second, colliding with a ball of 0.3 kilograms. فنحن we have box A or ball A, which has a velocity of mass of 0.2 kilograms and a velocity, and let's say, okay, yeah, it's moving leftward at 5 meters per second, collides with a stationary ball of mass 0.3. So we have ball A, which is 0.2, and ball B, which is 0.3 kilograms. So what's the velocity of each one? Our first one is moving left at 5 meters per second, and the other one is stationary. What does stationary mean? Stationary means not moving, so the velocity is 0. Upon collision, the balls stick and move together. Yani after they collide, they move together. What does moving together mean? They have same v prime. Okay, you'll understand this more when I start getting into explaining. What is the speed of the balls after the collision? طيب, when I tell you collision, what's the formula we have to use? MAVA plus MBVB equals MAVA prime, okay, prime plus MBVB prime. شو بتعمل؟ Okay, substitute. It's super simple. MA 0.2, okay, times VA, which is 5. You're going to tell me why isn't it negative 5? Okay, good point, Saraha, good point. We have ball A over here and ball B, which is stationary. Ball A moves to the left and then collides with B. And then afterwards, they continue moving to the left. Look, since we're only moving in one direction here, honestly, there's no point in having a positive and negative velocity. There won't be any point because we're moving in one direction. Okay? Other questions, yes, you might have to. When they say, and this is moving to the right, this is moving to the left, then yeah, obviously right would be positive, left would be negative. But if you think about it here, we're going from over here at A, B is over here, moving to the left, and after it collides, they stick and they move together, continuing to the left. Obviously, it won't collide and then start moving to the right again because B wasn't moving at all, so there was no force. If you get what I mean, and I'm talking a lot. But مهم, when you have one direction only, no need to specify your positive and negative speeds. Okay? Plus MBVB. Okay. نحن قلنا, we said it's stationary. What does stationary mean? Velocity is 0. So if velocity is 0, will I have any momentum? If it's mb times vb, anything if the velocity is 0, yani mb times 0, will I have anything? Nothing. So 0 equals MAVA prime. احنا MA is 0.2, it didn't change, times VA prime plus MB, which is 0.3, it didn't change, times VB prime. Okay, let's clean this up a bit. 0.2 times 5 is شو اسمه 1. Okay, 1 equals 0.2 VA prime plus 0.3 VB prime. What do you do here? Okay, نحن we said the balls, they collide and they stick and move together. What does that mean? It means they have the same V prime. So instead of saying VA prime and VB prime, they have the same speed. So this is equal to this. خلاص, you can just change it and just keep it as 0.2 V plus 0.3 V. Why? Because they're the same. They're moving together. So خلاص, they have the same velocity. No need to put prime. Just keep it as V and V equals 1. 0.2 V plus 0.3 V is 0.5 V. Divide by 0.5 on the other side, you get V equals 2 meters per second. Okay, you're gonna ask me sometimes, Waleed, what if they don't say they stick and move together? What will I do with the VA prime and VB prime? They will give you one of the values, and that way you can solve. But if, as long as you know this formula and you know how to substitute, then you will be always, yani, whatever values they give to you, you'll always be able to solve it. Okay, just use the formula. Okay, 2 meters per second. Okay, once again, this is repeat. 500 times 0.16. Impulse is force times time, which is 80. Question 7. Okay, 200 grams. It collides to the ground with a speed of 3 meters per second. Right after it bounces back, its speed is 2.5. They want the impulse. Okay, if you go to the formulas and I gave you previous, impulse the impulse delta p is equal to the mass times delta v. Okay, it's also equal to ft, but sometimes you don't have the force and you don't have the time. Like here, and I only have the mass and I have the velocity. فأنا how can I find the impulse? I will have to use the equation delta p equals m delta v. Okay, delta p هي الامبulse, we're trying to find it. الماس هي 200 grams, so we have to keep it in kilograms, so we divide by 1000 بتصير 0.2 times delta v. شو هي delta v? Delta v is velocity final minus velocity initial. صح؟ Change in velocity. Okay, الفاينل speed نحن عنا is going to the ground with a speed of 3 meters per second. It's going down at 3 meters per second. بعدين it bounces back up at 2.5 meters per second. Since we have two opposite directions, you have to specify which one's negative and which one's positive. أكيد the one going down will be negative. Okay, your velocity final, which is 2.5 upwards, positive 2.5, minus the initial velocity, which is minus 3, so minus 3, you'll get delta V هي 2.5 minus 3 is 5.5 meters per second. فالدلتا P هون I can substitute delta V ونحط 5.5 ويطلع لك delta P is equal to 1.1. Okay? Okay, when two or more objects interact and no external force is acting on them, their total momentum remains constant. Always remember, linear momentum is conserved, it remains constant, it doesn't change. The final momentum is always equal to the initial momentum. وهيدي delta P formula and I gave you is the force times the time. هلا optics صح؟ ايه question 10. Okay, I'm gonna go through these a bit quicker because it's old material. A ray of light passes from glass, okay, into air. The n of glass is 1.6 and the n of air is 1. If the angle of incidence is 30, what is the angle of refraction? If they're asking for angles, obviously we always use ni sine I equals nr sine r. Okay, Ni will be the incident. Since we're going from glass, incident يعني the one you're starting at. Since we're passing from glass, we're starting at glass, Ni will be the one for glass, which is 1.6 times sine I. Sine I يعني the angle of incidence, which is given 30, equals Nr. R is the one you're going into. We're going into air, which is 1, times sine R, which we're trying to find the angle of refraction. We don't know it, so you keep it as sine R. Okay, 1.6 times, you do this on a calculator. 1.6 sine 30 is 0.8. Equals 1 times sine r, so which is just sine r. Okay, how do you find r? R will be shift sine or inverse sine, whatever you call it, of 0.8. And you're going to get 53 degrees. They want it to the nearest integer. You get 53.1, I think. They want to the nearest integer, you keep it as 53. Part B, the ratio of the sine of the angle to the incidence of that angle is known as the second law of refraction. Okay, this is, memorize it. 11. The refractive index of air is 1 and diamond is 2.4. What is the critical angle? Okay, some people use Ni sine I equals Nr sine R to find the critical angle. An easy way I developed for in term 1 and what I told everybody that asked me, the critical angle called lambda equals sine lambda equals the small n over big N. Okay, or you could just say lambda equals critical, and I call lambda as the critical. Okay, يعني if you're confused what this symbol is, it's the critical angle. It's the shift sign. It's always small n over big N. Okay, you can use this one, you can use this one, they're the exact same thing. Okay, so that means sine of my critical angle lambda, okay, equals the small n, which is 1, over the big N, which is 2.4, and you're gonna get lambda is equal to the shift sign of 1 over 2.4. Why shift sign? Because you have to take the sign to the other side. Okay, and you're going to get 25, you get 24.6, I think 24.6 degrees on the calculator, and you round it to 25 degrees. Okay, that's how you find the critical angle. Always small n over big N, small over n over big. By the way, if you try using 2.4 over 1 and doing shift sign of that, your calculator will give you an error because you can't have the big N up. It doesn't work. A ray of light reaches the water glass interface as shown below. Knowing that the refractive and refractive index of glass is greater than that of water, select the correct path with the ray inside the segment. Okay, always have a rule. If you're moving, they're saying glass is denser than water. So glass is dense, sir, and water is less dense. All right. Okay. Enter when you have a ray of light. Obviously, if it stays undeviated, it's gonna stay like this, right? This is if there's no refraction. But it's changing medium, so obviously it's gonna bend. Okay, is it gonna bend towards the normal like this, or is it gonna bend away from the normal like this? How do you know? If you're moving from a denser medium to a less dense, from dense to less dense, it's gonna push it away because this is denser. It's gonna push it away from the normal. Okay, بس إذا مثلا عطوك air وglass and I'll give you انه glass is denser وهيدي less dense. Okay, if you're going from less dense to dense هيك, if you're going from less dense to dense ray, it won't push away, it would come closer. Okay, if you're going from less dense to dense. But هيدي, there are two different cases. In the question here, they're saying it's going from glass to air to water, which is dense to less dense, so it will move away. So in this case, like this, the ray will move away, like it's in the picture. Question 13. The point on the principal axis through which the rays parallel to the principal axis refract or appear to come out, we call this the principal focus. If you remember, optical center, this is the lens, lens. You'd have it parallel, okay, and then they're all gonna meet over here at point F, which was the principal focus. So هيك parallel, and it's gonna come through at the principal focus. Always name it. So this F is the principal focus, the point which rays parallel refract passing through it. Okay, and the distance between the optical center from here, O, the center, and the principal focus, we call this distance the focal, small f, focal length. Okay, هيك بنكون خلصنا physics for this week. Good luck everybody. If you have any question on when I'm uploading, I will always upload, don't worry, unless there's something emergency I will always upload, and my uploads are always around this time. 6:30. Oh, where's the clock? It doesn't show the clock anymore. Around 6:30, 7 o'clock UAE time. If I don't upload by 9, I don't think I'm going to be uploading. Okay, thank you for watching, and thank you so much for the support on the videos. Honestly, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Good luck.